There is a kind of strength that does not break, does not bend, does not negotiate. And the samurai of feudal Japan discovered exactly how to forge it within themselves. Have you ever heard the stories about the ancient samurai? Stories about how disciplined, strong, courageous they were, and most importantly, how they had an unbreakable spirit or an unshakable will. The Japanese have a term for this: Hagane no Ishi, the will of steel. But there's a catch that most people don't understand. Hagane no Ishi isn't something you're born with. It's a forging process, literally like steel being hammered, heated, cooled, and hammered again until it becomes indestructible. The samurai spent centuries perfecting this process. They called it Bushido, the way of the warrior. And it wasn't just about fighting, it was about forging a spirit that could not be broken by anything. Not by fear, not by pain, not by death itself. The will is completely linked to the spirit. People who have a weak spirit have a weak will, break easily, give up at the first adversity. But people who have a strong spirit fight until the end, until the last drop of blood, sweat, and tears. And today you'll find out exactly how these samurai achieved this level of will. Before we begin this journey, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment, "I will build a will of steel." This shows that you are committed to this transformation and helps me continue bringing you more content like this. I would like to take this opportunity to also thank each of you who are watching the channel's content, subscribing, and leaving a comment, whether it's an encouraging comment, a comment about your transformation journey, your desires for improvement, or even when you comment on an area in which you need help. I always try to read and respond to as many comments as possible, and I genuinely want to help you improve in any aspect of your life. Thank you so much to each and every one of you. Now, back to the video. Chapter 1. The Collapse. The story I'm going to tell you is about a guy named Marcus. Marcus is a 34-year-old entrepreneur who built a tech startup from scratch. Over the past 5 years, he'd sacrificed everything: relationships, health, sleep, everything for the business. And it worked for a while. The company grew, investors arrived, the team expanded. Marcus was living the American dream, until it all fell apart. A larger competitor launched a product that rendered his own obsolete. 2 key investors backed out. The team began to abandon ship, and Marcus, for the first time in his life, didn't know what to do. He'd always been the problem solver, the optimist, the leader. But now, sitting in his empty office at 2 a.m., he realized something frightening. He had no idea who he was without success. His entire identity was built on winning. And now that he was losing, he was falling apart. Anxiety came first, then insomnia, then panic attacks. Within 2 weeks, Marcus could no longer make basic decisions. His brain simply shut down. The pressure had broken something inside him he hadn't even known could break. That's when a mentor of his, a half-Japanese, half-American investor named James Watanabe, noticed the collapse. James had spent years in Japan studying and training in a traditional dojo, and he said something Marcus never forgot. "You don't have a business problem. You have a problem of spirit. You built a house on sand, and now that the tide has risen, you are discovering that there is no foundation." Marcus didn't understand at first, but James continued. The samurai had a principle. Their spirit must be stronger than any external circumstance. They called it Hagane no Ishi, will of steel, and they had a specific system to forge this, not through success or daily achievements, but through something much deeper. Chapter 2. The Principle of Fire. James took Marcus to a traditional kenjutsu, samurai swordsmanship, dojo operating in a nondescript basement in the city center. The dojo's master was a 70-year-old man named Tanaka Sensei, a direct descendant of a samurai line. The first thing Tanaka said to Marcus wasn't about technique, it was about steel. Tanaka said, "Do you know how steel is made?" He held an ancient katana in his hands. "Ordinary iron is weak, it breaks easily. But when you heat iron to 1,500 degrees, add carbon, hammer it repeatedly, quench it in water, and repeat this process over and over, you create something completely different. You create steel that can cut countless things and not break." He pointed at Marcus. "Your spirit is now iron, soft, fragile. The first real pressure deformed it. Bushido is the process of turning iron into steel, but you can't jump over fire. Marcus was hoping for some kind of meditation technique or mental exercise, something he could add to his routine. Tanaka laughed. You're still thinking about adding things. Bushido isn't about adding more things. It's about removing everything that's weak until only what's indestructible remains. Over the next few weeks, Marcus discovered that Bushido wasn't a motivational philosophy. It was a brutal system of deconstructing and reconstructing one's own identity. The first principle Tanaka taught was called Shin, the principle of right spirit. And it began with something Marcus had never done, facing the very thing he feared most. Chapter 3. Facing the Void. What do you fear most? Tanaka asked in the first session. Marcus started talking about losing the business, losing money, letting people down. Tanaka shook his head. No, that's what you think you fear. What do you really fear? Marcus fell silent. The question cut deeper than he expected. Tanaka waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes of uncomfortable silence. Finally, Marcus spoke, and his voice broke. I'm afraid of being nobody, of being ordinary, of being forgettable. Tanaka nodded slowly. Now we're getting closer to the truth. You've built your entire life running away from this feeling. All the success, all the work, all the ambition, it was all to prove that you're not this thing you fear you are. And what happened when the success went away? The fear came back, because you never faced it. You just covered it with achievements. The samurai had a specific practice for this. They called it memento mori before the Stoics popularized it in the West. Every samurai meditated daily on their own death, to directly confront the greatest human fear, complete annihilation. When you face death every day, minor problems lose their power over you. Losing money, you're going to die anyway. Losing status, you're going to die anyway. Failing publicly, you're going to die anyway. When we live with the awareness that one day we will leave, we make much more of our time, and we seek to build something truly concrete, something that goes beyond the material, but something that spans generations. When I talk about doing something extraordinary, I'm not telling you to be the next Nikola Tesla, nor am I telling you to try to change the course of humanity. This extraordinary feat I'm talking about could be changing the reality of your family, being someone unforgettable for your children, your siblings, your community. You may not change the world, but you can help the people you love. Tanaka gave Marcus an exercise that seemed insane at first. Every morning before doing anything, sit in silence for 20 minutes and visualize his own end. In detail. Imagine his body stopping working. Imagine the world continuing without him. Imagine that nothing he built matters in the end. Marcus found this depressing, but Tanaka explained, you find it depressing because you're avoiding it. A samurai doesn't avoid it. He faces it, and when you face death enough times, it stops controlling you. Chapter 4. The Practice of Fire. The first week was a psychological hell. Every morning Marcus sat down and forced himself to visualize the end. And every morning, his mind fought against it with every excuse possible. This isn't healthy. You're wasting time. You should be working on the business. But he kept going. And something strange started happening in the second week. The fear began to lose its intensity, not because he was distracted from it, but because he was actually looking at it. And when you look at any fear directly for long enough, it loses the mystical power it once had over you. The anxiety about the business? It was still there, but now it seemed less. Because compared to death, complete annihilation, losing a business was manageable. The samurai understood something profound about fear. You can't control whether you feel fear, but you can control whether fear controls you. A Stanford University neuroscientist who has been studying fear responses for 18 years has discovered something fascinating. When you repeatedly expose your brain to a fearful stimulus in a controlled environment, the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for the fear response, literally decreases its reactivity. The brain learns that the stimulus is not a real threat to survival. This is the mechanism behind exposure therapy. But Tanaka didn't stop at the fear of death. He took Marcus deeper. You faced physical annihilation, now face social annihilation. He explained the second principle of Bushido, Jin, benevolence through strength. But before you can achieve benevolence, you need to eliminate the need for external validation. Samurai were trained from a young age to be completely indifferent to public opinion, not out of arrogance, but because a warrior who needs approval is a controllable warrior, and a controllable warrior is a weak warrior. Tanaka gave Marcus an absurd-sounding exercise. Do something publicly embarrassing every week, not something hurtful or disrespectful, but something that would deliberately invite judgment. Week 1, wearing completely mismatched clothing in public. Week 2, singing loudly on a crowded subway. Week 3, dancing alone in a busy square. Marcus resisted. This is ridiculous. How does this help me with the business? Tanaka was blunt. You still think your problem is the business. It's not. Your problem is that you can't exist without approval. You need people to think you're successful, smart, capable, and that makes you weak, because when approval goes away, and it always does at some point, you crumble. A samurai can lose everything and remain intact because he does not derive his identity from anything external. He is the steel, not the sword, not the armor, not the victory, the steel. Chapter 5. The Death of the Ego. Marcus performed the first exercise with extreme embarrassment. He left the house wearing a bright floral shirt, mismatched striped pants, and a ridiculous hat. Every glance he received on the street was like a stab to the ego. His brain screamed, "Everyone is judging you. You look like an idiot. This is unnecessary." But he kept walking, and after 30 minutes, he realized that nothing happened. No one attacked him. No one insulted him. Most people didn't even care. And the ones who did, their opinions didn't change anything in his life. The second week, he sang on a crowded subway. The embarrassment was even more intense, but he noticed something. The discomfort came entirely from him, not from other people. Most of them smiled, some even recorded him. And in the end, he emerged from the train completely unharmed. The third week, he danced alone in a square, and for the first time he felt something different. Not relief, not comfort, but freedom. Freedom to not need anyone's approval. Freedom to exist exactly as you were without negotiation. Freedom to be judged and remain whole. The samurai called this mujo, impermanence. Everything is temporary. Approval is temporary. Disapproval is temporary. Success is temporary. Failure is temporary. The only permanent thing is the spirit you forge. Chapter 6. The steel test Marcus was beginning to understand. But Tanaka wasn't finished. The third principle of Bushido was the most brutal. Gi, righteousness through right action, even when it costs everything. Do you know the difference between iron and steel? Tanaka asked, gripping the katana again. Iron bends under pressure. Steel holds its shape. An iron spirit does the right thing when it's convenient. A steel spirit does the right thing especially when it's not. He looked directly at Marcus. You have to make a decision about your business, and I know you've been avoiding it. Marcus swallowed hard. Tanaka was right. There was a decision he'd known he needed to make for weeks. Fire his co-founder, who was also his best friend since college. His friend wasn't performing. He was unmotivated. He was dragging the company down. But Marcus had avoided the conversation because, well, he was his best friend. How do you tell someone who built everything with you that they're no longer part of the project? You're putting emotional comfort above righteousness, Tanaka said. That's iron. Iron dents when pressed. You're crushing your integrity to avoid discomfort. Steel doesn't negotiate. Steel does what needs to be done, regardless of the personal cost. And until you learn to do that, you'll continue to crack under pressure. The samurai had a concept called giri, duty above feeling. It doesn't mean being cold or cruel. It means that when you know what the right action is, you do it, even if the process is uncomfortable. A samurai who saw his lord committing injustice had a duty to confront him, even knowing it might cost him his life. Not because it was easy, but because it was right. Marcus spent 3 days agonizing over the decision. Every time he picked up the phone to schedule the meeting, his mind made 1,000 excuses. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe I can wait another month. But on the 4th day, he remembered steel. Steel doesn't negotiate. Steel holds its shape under pressure. He set up the meeting. Chapter 7. The Impossible Conversation. The conversation was one of the hardest things Marcus had ever done in his life. His friend didn't react well. There was anger. There were accusations. There was the destruction of a 12-year friendship in 45 minutes. Marcus left that room feeling beaten, emotionally destroyed, wondering if he had done the right thing, wondering if it was worth it. But when he arrived at the dojo that night, Tanaka looked at him and simply nodded. "Do you feel the pain? Try. Good. That means you have heart. But you did what needed to be done anyway. That means you have a spirit of steel. Iron avoids pain. Steel accepts pain as the cost of maintaining integrity. You were forged today, and now you know you can do impossible things." The samurai understood that courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is action despite fear, and integrity isn't doing the right thing when it's easy. It's doing the right thing especially when it destroys you inside. This is Hagane no Ishi. Will of steel doesn't mean not feeling. It means feeling everything and acting correctly anyway. Chapter 8. Daily Practice. But Tanaka knew that heroic moments don't build an unshakable spirit. Daily discipline does. The 4th principle of Bushido, rei, respect through ritual. And here was the secret Marcus hadn't expected. Samurai didn't rely on motivation. They relied on form. "Do you know why ceremonies exist?" Tanaka asked, as he prepared tea with precise, deliberate movements. "Because form creates substance. When you repeat a form correctly every day, eventually you become the form." He explained that samurai woke up at the same time every day. They performed the same practices in the same order, because they understood that discipline couldn't depend on how you felt. Marcus had tried routines before, but he always broke them when he didn't feel like it. Tanaka laughed when he heard this. "Feeling like it is irrelevant. Do you think samurai always felt like training in the mornings in the freezing winter? They did it because it was the way. And the way doesn't negotiate with feelings." Tanaka created a specific form for Marcus, not just meditation, but a complete sequence. 4:30 a.m. Wake up, no negotiations. Visualization for 15 minutes. 100 perfectly formed wooden sword cuts. Cold shower for a full 3 minutes. Breakfast prepared with undivided attention. After all this, the work began. "You're going to do this for 100 days straight," Tanaka said. "No exceptions, no negotiation. Sick, traveling, tired, it doesn't matter. The form continues." Marcus started arguing about flexibility and balance. Tanaka cut him off immediately. "Do you want steel or iron? Iron is flexible, it bends, it deforms. Steel is rigid, it holds its shape. You've spent 34 years being flexible. How's it working for you?" Now I'll open a parenthesis to explain this point better. There are several videos on the channel talking about the importance of being flexible, including the video I recently posted about how to achieve shinobi discipline, which talks a bit about flexibility when you're facing adversity. When I talk here about not being flexible, I'm referring to those people who are always making up an excuse to procrastinate, always looking for the perfect routine, the best time to train, the perfect workout, the perfect study techniques. There are people who negotiate so much with themselves that they never get anywhere, but live stuck in an endless cycle. Let me tell you a secret. There is no perfect moment for anything, there is only now. While we live waiting for the perfect moment, someone else is focused on executing, giving the best possible in the conditions they have. This is having a will of steel. It is waking up and saying, "I will make it happen no matter how many obstacles I face." This was exactly the feeling that Master Tanaka was trying to convey to Marcus. By the first week was a psychological war. Every day at 4:30 a.m. the alarm clock would go off, and Marcus's mind would immediately start negotiating. "You only slept 5 hours. You need rest. One day won't make a difference." But Marcus remembered the steel. Steel doesn't negotiate. feet on the ground, movement. The cold shower was torture for the first few days. His body would literally freeze before he even got in. But he understood something profound. The discomfort of the cold shower lasted exactly 3 minutes. But if he avoided it, the discomfort of having broken his form would last all day. On day 7, something small but significant happened. He woke up 2 minutes before his alarm. His body was beginning to adapt. On the 14th, the sword slashes that had seemed endless the first week now flowed naturally. The body had memorized the form. On the 21st, he realized he was no longer mentally trading every morning. He simply woke up and did it. The process was becoming automatic. A behavioral researcher at the University of Oxford, who's been studying habit formation for 15 years, explains, "Discipline isn't a finite resource that you expend. It's a muscle you strengthen through repeated use. When you remove trading from a stock through automation, you free up massive mental energy for other areas of life." The samurai understood this intuitively centuries before modern science confirmed it. Chapter 9. The Collapse of the System. But on day 32, everything fell apart. Marcus caught a severe case of the flu, a fever of 39 degrees Celsius. His body was completely exhausted. He woke up at 4:30 a.m., and for the first time, he physically couldn't get out of bed without feeling like he was going to faint. His mind immediately jumped to, "Finally, a legitimate reason to stop. You're sick. No one would expect you to do the practice today. Rest." But then he remembered something Tanaka had said. The real test of steel doesn't come when everything is working. It comes when the system collapses. Anyone can be disciplined when it's easy. Steel is disciplined when it's impossible. Marcus didn't do the 100 sword cuts, physically impossible. But he did do 10 cuts while sitting on the bed. He didn't take the 3-minute cold shower, but he did wash his face with cold water. He didn't meditate for 15 minutes, but he did do 3 minutes. The form had been adapted but not abandoned, and that made all the difference. Because the danger isn't having to adapt. The danger is using adaptation as an excuse to stop altogether. Once you create a gap, your brain learns that gaps are allowed, and gaps become the norm. The samurai had a simple rule: practice never stops. It can be modified but never eliminated. Because the moment you allow a complete exception, you're no longer practicing Bushido, you're practicing expediency. In the channel's latest video, we also addressed this very issue by telling the story of the young shinobi. And understanding this principle can change your game forever. I know people who live an all-or-nothing life, people who'd rather not do something than do it in a theoretically imperfect way. But understand this: perfection doesn't exist. While you waste time trying to be perfect, someone appears who is sometimes less intelligent, but is good at one thing: executing. So write down this principle and apply it to your life. One will always be greater than 0. On the day you can't study for 2 hours, study for 1 hour, but never 0. On the day you can't practice for 1 hour, practice for 30 minutes, but never 0. This applies to everything in life. Chapter 10. The Inner Storm. On day 50, Marcus faced a different test. His business began to show signs of recovery. A new investor appeared. The remaining team was performing better. Things were looking up. And immediately his mind began to whisper, "You don't need this extreme discipline anymore. You've already proven your point. You can relax now." This is what Tanaka called the poison of success, more dangerous than failure because it is more seductive. Failure is obvious, Tanaka explained. You know you need to change, but success fools you. It makes you think you can go back to your old habits because now you deserve to relax. Samurai understood that victory is the moment of greatest danger, because that's when you stop sharpening the blade, and a blade that isn't sharpened eventually becomes dull. Marcus almost fell into this trap. For 3 days straight, he considered taking a break from his routine, sleeping until 6 a.m., skipping the sword cuts, going back to the comfortable hot baths. But he remembered why he had started. It wasn't about saving the business. It was about forging a spirit that wouldn't break regardless of external circumstances. The business improving was irrelevant to the practice. The practice existed independently of results. This is Hagane no Ishi. Will of Steel doesn't depend on winning or losing. It exists as an unchanging constant. Chapter 11. The Moment of Truth. Day 73, Marcus faced the ultimate test. The investor who had shown interest disappeared. Another team member resigned. And to top it all off, he received a call. His father had been hospitalized with a serious heart condition. Marcus needed to travel immediately to another state. He would be hospitalized. No routine, no structure, completely outside the controlled environment he had built over the past 2 months. His mind immediately offered the obvious solution. Obviously, you can't keep up the practice right now. This is a real emergency. Family comes first. You can pick it up when you get back. But something had changed in Marcus. He was no longer negotiating. In the hospital hallway while his father was in surgery, he made invisible cuts with his hands, memorizing every movement. In the hospital room bathroom, cold tap water was splashed on his face for 3 minutes. It wasn't perfect, but it was continuous. And for the first time in his life, Marcus fully understood what Tanaka had been trying to teach. Practice doesn't serve circumstances. Circumstances serve practice. A samurai doesn't train for the day of battle. He trains because he is a samurai. The battle is irrelevant, identity is permanent. Chapter 12. The silent transformation day 100 arrived without fanfare. No dramatic celebrations. Marcus simply woke up at 4:30 a.m., did his practice, and continued with his day. But something had changed. He was no longer the person who had entered the dojo 100 days ago. The business? He still faced challenges, but Marcus was no longer crumbling under pressure. When problems arose, he simply faced them. No drama, no emotional breakdown, just action. Tanaka called Marcus for one last talk at the dojo. You have completed your first 100-day cycle. Do you now understand what Hagane no Ishi is? Marcus thought before answering. It's not about not feeling, it's about acting correctly regardless of how you feel. Tanaka nodded. Partially correct, but there's something deeper. He picked up the katana again. Do you know how long it takes to forge a real katana? The blacksmith heats the steel, hammers it, bends it, heats it again, hammers it again, over and over again. Why? Because every time you heat and hammer the steel, you are removing impurities. In the beginning, the steel is full of weaknesses, air bubbles, carbon impurities, inconsistencies in the structure. But each cycle of heating and hammering removes more weaknesses, until in the end nothing weak remains, just pure steel, indestructible. He looked at Marcus. These 100 days didn't make you strong. They removed what was weak. Your fear of death? Removed through daily confrontation. Your need for approval? Removed through deliberate exposure. Your tendency to avoid discomfort? Removed through daily non-negotiable practice. You have not built a new spirit. You have revealed the spirit that has always been there beneath all the weaknesses. Chapter 13. The True Meaning. Hagane no Ishi isn't about becoming something you're not, Tanaka continued. It's about removing everything that isn't you until only the essential remains, and the essential is indestructible. Samurai were not superhumans. They were humans who had removed everything superfluous, unnecessary fear, fragile ego, and dependence on external circumstances. What remains is what was always there, a spirit that cannot be broken because there is nothing breakable in it anymore. Marcus felt the weight of those words. He had spent his entire life trying to become more successful, more recognized, stronger. But Bushido wasn't about addition. It was about subtraction. It wasn't about becoming more. It was about becoming less weak, less fragile, less dependent. So what do I do now? Marcus asked. Tanaka smiled. Now, you keep going. Because Hagane no Ishi isn't a destination. It's a perpetual process. You never finish removing weaknesses. There are always more layers. There's always more work. But the difference is that now you know you can. You've proven to yourself for 100 days that you can face anything and keep going. That certainty changes everything. A clinical psychologist at Yale University, who has been studying resilience for 20 years, discovered something fascinating. True confidence doesn't come from positive affirmations or visualizing success. It comes from empirical evidence that you can handle adversity. Every time you face something difficult and survive, your brain registers, "I can handle this." Repeated enough times, this becomes an unshakable core belief. Now you must be thinking that this is one of those stories where everything works out in the end, am I right? But that's not what happened. 6 months later, Marcus's business failed completely. The investment didn't come through, the team disbanded, he had to close the doors. And for the first time in his life, he was okay. Not happy, not relieved, but intact. He had lost the business, but he hadn't lost himself, because the business was never what defined him. He was the steel, not the sword, not the armor, not the victory, the steel. And steel does not break. 3 weeks later, he started a new project, without the drama, without the anxiety, just clear, deliberate action. The practice he had learned continued. Visualization, training, cold showers, tea. Not because it would save the new business, but because he was who he was now. People around began asking questions. How are you so calm after losing everything? How did you not collapse? The answer was simple. I was forged. There is a secret about Hagane no Ishi. The process never ends. You never reach a point where you can say, "That's it, I'm indestructible now," because life will always find new ways to test you. The difference is that now you know you can be tested and not break. And that certainty changes absolutely everything about how you move through the world. People start to sense this in you. It's not arrogance, it's something deeper. It's the presence of someone who can't be shaken because they've been through the fire enough times to know they can survive any temperature. It doesn't mean you don't feel emotion. It means emotion no longer controls you. And when you achieve that, you become the kind of person that others look at and think, "How does this person not break?" The answer: it's already broken 1,000 times in the process of becoming unbreakable. So the question remains, do you want to be forged? Because Hagane no Ishi isn't for those who want quick results. It's not for those who want a comfortable 5-minute technique that will magically transform their life. It's for those who understand that real transformation requires destruction. Destruction of every weak part. Destruction of every comfortable excuse. Destruction of every mental negotiation that keeps you small. The process is brutal. It will require you to wake up when every bone in your body wants to sleep. It will require you to face fears you've spent your entire life avoiding. It will require you to do the right thing, even when it's not convenient. But in the end, you won't be the same person. You'll be steel, and steel doesn't break. The samurai spent centuries perfecting this process because they understood something fundamental. In a world of chaos, uncertainty, and inevitable suffering, the only thing you can truly control is the strength of your own spirit. You can't control whether your business will fail, whether people will disappoint you, whether life will knock you down. But you can control whether you'll get back up, and whether you'll keep going. This is Bushido. This is Hagane no Ishi. This is what it means to have a will of steel and an unbreakable spirit. If this video helped you in any way, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next content. Remember, you don't need more motivation, you need fewer weaknesses, and the only way to eliminate weaknesses is by going through the fire. If you've watched this far, you've already taken the first step. Most people don't even get that far. But getting there is the easy part. The hard part is applying these teachings to your life. Start small, but never stop. Thank you very much for your attention. Until the next video.